All right. Well, welcome to the Restorative Divorce, the podcast where we explore the journey through divorce and co parenting with clarity, compassion, and empowerment. I'm your host, Erin Birt. And today we have a special guest, my new friend, Laura Cheadle. She is a betrayal recovery coach, an attorney, and an inspiring author. Laura helps individuals navigate the challenging path of betrayal to reclaim their self worth, their power, and their joy. Her approach is grounded in helping people move forward with dignity and rediscover what's possible on the other side of betrayal. So, today we're going to dive into a topic that's both incredibly personal and universally challenging: how to address the pain of betrayal, reclaim our identity, and step into a life where self worth is rebuilt and not just restored. So, Laura will be sharing with us some aspects of her own personal journey with infidelity and betrayal. And, this conversation is intended to bring both healing and some actionable steps that can help the lives of anybody listening or watching today. So, Laura, I'd love if you could just start off with telling us what drew you to this field of betrayal recovery coaching. And perhaps if you could walk us through what led you here and maybe some of your core philosophies behind your approach.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you so much for having me. Um, as you might guess, this was not a practice that I intended on stepping into. It is born from my own infidelity journey. After 23 years of what I thought was a really strong partnership and marriage, I found myself completely blindsided by my husband's infidelity. As it turns out, he had been cheating for 15 years with 5 different women. So it was significant. And it completely destroyed me in that moment. It brought up all of those thoughts and those feelings like, I'm an attorney. I'm supposed to be smart. How could I have not known this is going on? How can I be so stupid? How can I be so worthless? How can I be so ugly, dumb? I mean, you name it. It completely destroyed me.
Mm.
Long and the short of it is you can recover from infidelity. It isn't about you, but because it was challenging for me to find resources that addressed the whole of me, the legal end, the intellectual end, the emotional, physical, spiritual, all of those pieces. That's why I started doing what I do, because betrayal is a different animal. And it doesn't have to be just infidelity. Sometimes just getting a divorce feels like a betrayal because this was not the dream I had. This was not what I signed up for. Financial betrayal, emotional betrayal. It's not always just infidelity, but it's really important to understand what differentiates betrayal from other kinds of grief and to heal that specifically.
I can't believe that you were able, well, I can because you're doing so well at this, but 15 years,
Right.
that had to have felt like the ultimate blow, like you described. And I would imagine other listeners, whether it is romantic infidelity or financial infidelity, or just like you said, the process itself, hearing the word divorce or separate has to be a significant blow to your self-worth. How how would somebody, or how did you start picking up the pieces, or what were your first steps? Where do we even start when we
Yeah.
feel that trauma or just that blow to our reality? What are our first
Mhm.
steps?
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to very first stop. What we want to do is we want to fly into action. We want to tell people, we want to call people, we want to get to an attorney, we want to file things, we want to fly into action because it makes us feel like we're doing something. When the truth of the matter is the very first thing we should do, and it just makes me cry, but just to stop and to feel that pain and to grieve and to allow yourself to be confused and hurt and vulnerable. Not that you can say, okay, I grieved for a week and it's over. But the very first thing to do is to truly stop. You have been through an enormous shock. you are in a state of fight, flight, or freeze. Your nervous system is completely dysregulated. And the first most important thing to do is to stop. Not even that first few days, those first few days, not even to start reaching for your tools, but just to allow yourself space to sleep, cry, and grieve. Then you can start using tools.
So it's almost you have to recover from that first step, that
Yeah.
either learning that your reality perhaps didn't add up to what you thought it was, and you need to recover just from that initial knowledge
Yes.
and not go
Yes.
into action mode right away, which I think a lot of us would want to, right? We're either going
Yes.
to run to somebody and say, this is what happened, or help me, or I need to just get out of this. But we also need to just pause, stop, recover what just
Mhm.
happened.
Yes,
Wow.
absolutely. Betrayal is defined as the breaking of an expectation that you have
Mm,
relied on that ruptures your view of yourself or the world. And when you find out somebody has been cheating on you in one form or another, it does rupture your view of yourself. And it does rupture your view of your marriage and the world. And we're not capable of taking all of those broken pieces, taking a deep breath and saying, yep, well, my entire worldview is ruptured and let's just move on starting tomorrow. We have to stop.
yeah. And what would you say, Laura, is a sign that you maybe started to recover or adapt to that initial reaction? I have clients or people that reach out to me, um, and they're immediately wanting help, and they might even first off say, eh, and I don't know if they're trying to please me, but I'm working with a therapist or I'm working with somebody. So, like, I've got that in check, but I need help. What would you say? What are those signs that somebody that's experienced trauma or betrayal, um, how are they going to know? Is it just the passage of time? Is there a feeling that they should have? What would you suggest for someone who says, I don't know what to do. I just know that I'm hurting?
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, it's wonderful to reach out, whether it's a therapist or a coach or an attorney. It's wonderful to reach out and to start getting help because the insight that we receive from people outside of us can help us start seeing things differently.
Mm,
But from an internal point and an internal perspective, how we know we're healing is when we start enjoying ourselves again, where
mm,
we can pick up that cup of coffee and take a deep sniff and be like, oh, that just smells so good. Or we can be taking a walk and we can just look at the fall leaves or look at the crisp snow and have that moment of enjoyment. And it's really small, but it's just where we can start losing ourselves in life and in ourselves again. And it's not like, oh, I enjoyed every moment of every day, but it's just we know we're healing when we can start finding glimpses and moments of
mm.
peace.
And are there things that our listeners can do to maybe start recognizing those small moments? Maybe other people point it out to them. I'm not sure. But um, do you have any strategies or any ideas for what to do to trust ourselves again, right? Because we were just betrayed. We just felt like our reality was rocked. This is not what I signed up for, or this is not what I planned.
Mm-mm.
I would imagine you have some trust, inner trust as well, because you thought things were going maybe a certain way and you found out that's not true. How do we start to trust ourselves again or the perspective of others?
Yeah, it's a process. It's
Yeah.
absolutely a process and it does take time. And you hit the nail on the head. It's one thing when you realize I can't trust the people outside of me, but it's a whole other thing when you think, and I can't trust myself either. What I really recommend is, and this might sound like, wait, what is she saying? What I really recommend is movement, using your body. Because when you use your body and when you tune into your body, it helps you come back home to you. So, for example, if you're thinking, I'm frazzled, I can't get connected, I'm scattered, what do you want to feel? I want to feel centered. I want to feel grounded. I want to feel calm. What are the physical actions you can take that will help you stay grounded, centered, and calm? Because when we do things with our body, we become that. So maybe yoga, maybe meditation, maybe taking a walk. On the flip side, if you're thinking, I'm weak, I'm vulnerable, I have been destroyed, how do you want to feel? I want to feel strong again. I want to feel empowered. Okay, what are the physical things you can do to feel strong and empowered? Maybe lift weights. Maybe run up a hill as hard and as fast as you can. What are those things you can do physically? Because when you do something physically, you start becoming it emotionally.
And Laura, personally, I know you shared with me you don't mind sharing your own journey. When you learn something as mind blowing as 15 years of betrayal, for you, what happened to you initially, and how did you start putting the pieces together? Or did it take time, and did you have a learning curve?
Absolutely, I had a learning curve. I definitely did some things wrong.
Mm.
First, when I found out, I threw up and I collapsed on the floor. Literally, it all fell apart. What I did wrong was I flew into action and I started telling people things that I wish I hadn't have told them. And I started saying things that in hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have said.
Okay.
From there, I started giving myself the space and time to grieve, to cry. I started listening to podcasts. I started listening to music. I researched and I started learning everything I possibly could. But that for me was grounding.
Mm.
I am a big mover. Sadly, in the discovery of the infidelity, my foot got broken, so I couldn't move. So I had to come up with new strategies of breathing, of moving, of just moving my arms to get some of that energy out. And then I started researching people and getting help. I started figuring out what my rights were, what did I need to know, and what was going to help me. And yes, it took time. It took a lot of time, but I did start figuring so much out. And most importantly, figuring out that it wasn't my fault. This said nothing about me. And I came to the realization that this is something that could destroy me and make me bitter for the rest of my life. But that wasn't who I was. So I had to figure out, who was I again? And what did I need and want to make me happy going forward, both in the short and in the long term?
It sounds, for people maybe that like to write, journaling would be helpful in this instance, right? It's
Yes.
exploration, it's trying to figure out, what for me, not as a couple, but for me, do I need outside of journaling? If people don't like to write, if they never had a journal before, is there anything that they can do for that self exploration, for that, maybe those just reminders of, I don't want to walk today. I'm depressed.
Mhm.
I haven't showered in a couple days. I'm down. Um, what are some of those maybe micro steps even that people tend to overlook when they're faced with something huge?
Yeah, yeah. And I also want a second journaling. Journaling is
Yeah.
amazing. Something that I also recommend is recording some things. You can use the voice recorder on your phone for people who don't want to journal. Speak some things out. You're getting that energy, the energy of the words out of you, but it's also important that sometimes you can go back. You can answer your own question as if you were hearing your thoughts from a different perspective. And
Mhm.
even if you never listen to it, they're out of you and they've been captured and memorialized. So that's huge too. And then the other thing too is whenever you have those thoughts in your head, like, I should eat healthy, I should not drink this glass of wine, I should go take a walk, to give yourself permission that you don't have to do it, but maybe I can just try it for 2 seconds. I think I want to walk, but I'm too depressed. Maybe just go outside. I went outside, that's it. Maybe I shouldn't drink this glass of wine. Well, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to have 2 sips, but maybe I'm just going to leave a little bit in the glass. Just play around with that permission. I can do a little. I don't have to do it all. Perfection is so overrated.
Yeah. If you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about the beyond, the after you've got through that initial reaction, the self-exploration, maybe using some of these tools to identify how can I ground or how can I just be back in touch with what I need to also get through this stressful situation. What can people look forward to?
Mm,
And is it a reality for the listeners?
yeah. Oh, I love this question. This is a what I didn't know then. Betrayal is truly an initiation into something better. It really, really is. I thought I had a good marriage. I thought I knew how to communicate. I thought I knew what true intimacy was about. I didn't. There were things about me I hadn't seen. I often say that betrayal uncovers the truth, not only about your partner and what they're doing, but about what's possible for you.
Mm,
I honor myself so much more now. I see now all of the ways I was betraying myself, all of the ways I was self abandoning, all of the ways that I was seeking to please others, to conform to expectations, and to perform.
mm.
My marriage before was performance based. It had to look good on the outside. We had to be this perfect power couple. That's not for me what I craved. What I get now is genuine, it's real, it's raw, it's messy. And I am so much more in touch with myself and able to advocate on behalf of myself and my wants and my needs and my desires. And life is just so much more rich and connected and comfortable. And if that's what you want, that's what you can get. If you want to go back to a performance based life, you can go back to that too. It's about what you want. But this is an invitation, it's an initiation, it's a catalyst. This is probably one of the most, if not the most significant events in your life. What are you going to make of it? Because it's a beautiful opportunity to really, really set the bar high and to finally see yourself authentically and to create a life you love.
I love that, Laura. Just turning those negative experiences into growth. And I love that you said you are living a genuine life, that you took a horrible situation that you never thought would happen, but now you have a genuine life. It's amazing how sometimes things happen on our life to point us in a different direction or to allow you to find your purpose or to be more genuine. And it sounds like to me that you found your purpose here. You are a great educator of betrayal and the other side of it, and how you can have a valuable, genuine life, and you're not what your marriage or your relationship was. You have so
Right.
much more to look forward to.
Oh, so much more. So much more. And that's the thing. There's not a lot of great examples out there, I think, of these truly fulfilling lives and existences. This is an invitation to get that. So take it and run with it.
And I think a lot of our listeners, and I hope I'm not making a huge assumption here, but I do think a lot of our listeners are maybe in that preparation stage, perhaps that you are listening to podcasts, gathering information, trying to understand what their next steps are. Um, in your role as a betrayal coach, can you guide us through what you do as a valuable resource to people that want to reach out for help, need additional help, might need something beyond listening to your podcast, our podcast? Could you maybe explain a little bit about who you work with, how you work with them?
Yeah, absolutely. There's two different resources that I'll give. One is just an acronym that I will give you because I want you to keep this acronym front and center for whenever you feel lost. And then the second is a resource and how I can help you. The acronym is the word FLAUNT. Whenever you feel compressed or shrunk or beaten down, the opposite of that is to flaunt. So that's what I want you to remember, that energy. F stands for find your fetish, which means find your joy. Find that thing that makes you go, oh, I want to do that. Whenever you feel bad, find what lights you up. L stands for laugh out loud. Laughing is the number one way to calm and re-regulate the nervous system. We have Instagram, we have comedy things. Find something that just makes you giggle. It's going to help. AU is the golden center of flaunt. Whenever you're stressed out, accepting unconditionally is the answer. Because when you accept unconditionally, you realize I am me, they are them, and I can only control me. And you let go of the crazy making in your own head. N stands for navigate the negative. What are the things that you can do right now? You don't need to plan every step from here until age 130. What can you do right now? What is your most immediate next step? And the T in flaunt stands for trust your truth. Get help, talk to people, find resources, and bring it back home because you are the only one who knows how it feels for you in your life. So that's my number one resource. Remember to flaunt. If you forget what the acronym is, let me know, or do what you remember and just flaunt. The second resource that I will point you to is, if you would like, you can download your free Betrayal Recovery Toolkit by going to 𝗿𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗃●𝗃.com. And that is a multi-part kit that includes some journal prompts. It includes a guided meditation. It includes a lot of tangible things that you can grab onto when you're in that state of like, I don't even know who I am or what to do. It'll just give you the things to do. And like I said earlier, you don't have to complete it. Just start something, and that will help. And yes, I do work with women. We can either coach one session at a time whenever you need it, or you can buy a package and we can work together side by side for 6 months. And I can be the voice in your ear, shepherding you through, helping you talk to your attorney, helping you understand things, helping you find tools and resources, and helping you create that vision on the other side so you don't get lost in the process.
Yeah. And I'm so happy that you brought up the acronym FLAUNT. I think just the word itself speaks volumes, and then breaking it down into those actionable steps is so huge. And not only is it a great acronym, it's a great podcast. It's your podcast called FLAUNT. And I was listening to one of your September episodes about your journey with your eye doctor. And you were navigating, well, I'll let you talk about it a little bit, but I was hoping that we could talk about, not only do we have some tools that we just discussed for people that are kind of contemplating next steps, there might be people that are going to rush and do that because maybe they're more action based. They're going to do that, and then they're going to start thinking about people that can help them. And I loved in your episode on Flaunt where you were talking about going to an eye doctor and how that journey pointed out something to you that I think would be valuable to our listeners about the people that you work with or that you could work with.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I have bad vision. I'm nearsighted. And then as you age, you start losing that up close vision. And then it's so frustrating because I'm like, great, I can't see up close and I can't see far away. And for years, I would go to this eye doctor and he'd say, oh, you have the worst vision I've ever seen. And I don't know what we're going to do with you. And then he had me set up in these contacts that worked for distance, but then he had me different contact or glasses that would go over that, like my readers. And then he said, oh, we're going to change that. We're going to give you middle vision. And then you're going to have a distance pair of glasses and a close pair of glasses. And I was so frustrated and I was never satisfied with my vision. Well, finally, a friend said, Laura, why don't you go to my eye doctor? He specializes in nearsighted people who are also aging and they're losing their up close vision. And I'm like, what? There's experts in this? Like, that's a thing? I just thought an eye doctor was an eye doctor. And she's like, oh, no, 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 no. Well, I go to this guy and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I have this horrible vision. And he checks me and he's like, you don't have horrible vision. This is not the worst vision I've ever seen. You're nearsighted. It's not a problem. You're aging. It's not a problem. Here are your options. We can do monovision. This is how it works. Here's a sample pair of lenses. You can try it out. We can do these like trifocal lenses. You can try those out. We've got like trifocal glasses. You can try them out. Well, bam, within a month, I have this incredible monovision set of contacts that I love. I've got like these multifocal glasses that I love. And suddenly it's not a problem. And the lesson that it really brought home to me is there are experts. It's not just one attorney can get you divorced. Some attorneys like to fight. Some attorneys are known for aggressively taking the woman's side or aggressively taking the man's side or high conflict. Some attorneys do all these different things. Like you talk about restorative divorce. Your focus is for people who really want to create something and make something that this is not, oh my gosh, a big disaster and let's just fight and drain all the resources and be in litigation for the next 20 years. If you want that, find somebody who's going to do that. If you want a restorative divorce, use you. If you want to truly heal from betrayal, work with me. If you want to spend the rest of your life telling the story about how bad it was and all the bad things that happened to you, work with somebody else. If you want to go back into your childhood and dig into your childhood and spend 10 years digging at that, great, you can do that. Whatever you want, you can get. Find the expert that suits you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you do that and when you build your team, you are going to be a success story. Just like Laura talked about her successes in this. That is what I want for my clients, Laura. I know that's what you want for your clients. And, I always say you wouldn't go to your general doctor for a surgery consultation. They tell you to go somewhere else, they refer you to somewhere else. I refer my clients all of the time. I'll say, you know what? I know a lot about that, but I know who knows even more and can help you and can give you tools and resources that outlive your divorce process. And I refer them. And so, yeah, I loved your journey through your eye doctor. It was very relatable considering I am waiting for a pair of glasses myself to help me on things. But yes, it is a valuable tool to work with the people that are experts, extremely knowledgeable, educated, and have experience in the area that you need help in.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Laura, we talked about a lot of things. We've given some tools and resources. We've directed listeners or watchers to other resources. But if there was one takeaway for our listeners and watchers today, what would you like to leave with them as a main takeaway?
I think the main takeaway is it is about you and you are in control of you. You're not a victim. Yes, you might have been victimized. Yes, your expectations might have been broken, but you're not a victim. You can create something from this and you can become something more. Yes, it's a journey, but truly, you get to choose, co-create that next level with yourself, with the experts that you choose, and make something of this.
I love that. Thank you, Laura. And for those listening and watching, if you or someone you know is struggling with the pain of betrayal, please consider reaching out to Laura. Her approach is not only about healing, but empowering you to thrive. I also encourage you to explore our restorative divorce resources, as well as the resources mentioned today by Laura about how to navigate life transitions with clarity and support. So, thank you, Laura, for sharing your wisdom, your compassion, your tools, your resources. I just applaud you for what you do and for helping people through a very specific, troublesome time in their life. And so,
Yes.
thank you for being here today.
Thank you. And right back at you. Thank you for your positive attitude, for your work, and for the way that you help truly restore people after a very difficult time in life.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that.